When the noose was about to tighten around his neck, the thunderous crash of a new neighbor reversing and overturning a mailbox transformed Ove's suicide plan into an absurd farce. The 59-year-old Swedish man, like an enraged statue, burst out of his door and roared, "Idiot! Can't you even reverse properly?" Yet, immediately after his tirade, he personally helped the neighbor park the car, almost as if two souls resided within him, one a suicidal fanatic, the other a living savior. He turned back inside, determined to resume his suicide, but just as he was about to slip the noose around his neck, the neighbor's children appeared at his window. Unwilling to frighten them, he had no choice but to give up. And so, the old man's suicide attempt failed. Ove was notorious in the community as a hot-tempered curmudgeon. He would vehemently scold the neighbor's dog for defecating indiscriminately, order greeting neighbors to keep their distance, and even frighten the stray cats. Yet, the neighbors did not truly despise him, because he hadn't always been that way. The former Ove was introverted but kind and full of passion for life. It wasn't until a year ago, when his wife Sonia passed away, that his personality underwent a drastic transformation into the bitter, acerbic man he had become. His desire to commit suicide stemmed solely from his overwhelming longing for his wife, a desperate wish to be reunited with her. After yesterday's failed attempt, he resolved not to repeat the same mistake. This time, he closed his shutters tightly. But just as everything was set in motion, fate intervened once more. A doorbell rang, shattering the solemnity of his death ritual. Muttering curses, he reluctantly opened the door. Neighbor Patrick's family had come bearing pastries as thanks for his earlier help with parking, and also to borrow a ladder for roof repairs. Despite the anger swirling in his throat, Ove lent the ladder. At that moment, his old friend Rune's wife Anita also arrived, asking for assistance with her home's heating system. It seemed as if fate itself conspired to prevent Ove from ending his life. Back in his room, Ove slumped wearily onto a stool. On the wall, a photograph of Sonia gazed at him tenderly, as if to ask, "You promised to be with me, but are you truly ready?" He once again slipped the noose around his neck. This time, without any further interruption, the rope slowly tightened, and as the strangulation clouded his senses, his thoughts drifted back to childhood. Ove's mother had died when he was very young. His father, a railway worker, loved him deeply yet was not adept at expressing his affection. Raised on Saab automobiles and the philosophy of the railroad, Ove's upbringing was marked by a quiet, steadfast love. But one day, tragedy struck again, just as Ove proudly showed his perfect report card to his father, who was bursting with pride and eager to share it with his colleagues. Fate snatched away his dearest one. All that remained from his father was a modest position as a repairman and an empty house. Ove's misfortunes did not end there. Before long, real estate developers set their sights on his home. One night, a neighbor's house suddenly caught fire while bystanders merely watched. Without hesitation, Ove dashed into the inferno and rescued two neighbors. Yet when he emerged, he discovered that his own house had been ignited by the flames. Powerful real estate tycoons had prevented the fire brigade from extinguishing the blaze, ultimately reducing his home to ashes. Thus, Ove found himself homeless, and he took refuge on a train, planning to endure a few days there. That morning, as he groggily opened his eyes, a pair of red high-heeled shoes caught his attention. Across from him sat a young woman, absorbed in reading a book. Though she was enchanting, Ove was too preoccupied to appreciate her beauty. He only wanted to know where the train was headed. As he inquired, a conductor came in to check tickets. By that time, Ove had no money left and was at a loss. Finally, noticing his plight, Sonia kindly purchased a ticket for him. After a brief introduction and casual conversation, the train arrived at its station and Ove disembarked. This marked their first encounter, ordinary, unremarkable, yet beautifully significant. As he walked back along the tracks, reminiscing about Sonia's beauty, a smile finally broke across Ove's face. Suddenly, life didn't seem so terrible. From that day forward, Ove took the same train at the same time every day. 3 weeks later, one day, his wish was unexpectedly granted. The introverted man, at a loss for words, simply said he wanted to repay her money. But Sonia, perceptive as ever, caught on to his true intentions and playfully remarked that the money could be used to treat her to a dinner. Ove, in his simplicity, replied that he now had no place to cook. A few days later, as they met at a restaurant as planned, Ove still didn't know what to talk about. He explained that he had already eaten before arriving, so that he would have enough money for her to order whatever she desired. Ove confessed everything to Sonia about being penniless and homeless. As he finished, overcome by self-abasement and ready to leave, Sonia unexpectedly kissed him. And so, Ove and Sonia's relationship was born. 6 months later, Ove became a train engineer, and Sonia successfully graduated from university. On that very day, Ove proposed marriage to Sonia. Perhaps fate decreed that Ove was not meant to die, or perhaps Sonia, in some mysterious way, prevented it. His suicide attempt failed once again.